Hello guys, this is your resident petrolhead and we are going to take a look at the Chevrolet Corvette and its history. The current flagship among the General Motors line of car had a more humble origin in 1953. It was named Corvette by a person called Myron Scott after a type of small warship called the Corvette. Okay, now to the actual car. The first generation C1 Corvette was introduced late in the 1953. Originally designed as a show car for the 1953 Motorama display at the New York Auto Show, it generated enough interest to induce GM to make a production version to sell to the public. First production was on June 30th, 1953. This generation was initially powered by a 235 cubic inch or 3.85 liter inline 6-cylinder engine named the Blue Flame with 150 bhp. Because there was no manual transmission that could handle that much power, it had a 2-speed power glide automatic which took it from 0 to 60 in 11.5 seconds. And by the way, it only had a solid rear axle. And it was a convertible. Only 300 handbuilt Polo White Corvettes were ever produced, and it's also the lowest volume Corvette. In 1955, a 265 cubic inch or 4.3 liter V8 engine was introduced to the Corvette for the first time. Ever since then, all the Corvette were powered by a V8. In 1956, with the addition of a fuel injection system to a 283 cubic inch small block V8, it became the first mass-produced engine in the history to produce 1 bhp per cubic inch. And Chevrolet's advertising agency used 1 HP per cubic inch slogan for advertising. During the year 1957 to 1962, the Corvette went through many cosmetic upgrades and minor engine modifications. Like in 1958, it got the quad headlamps and louvers. And in 1961, the rear of the car was completely redesigned with the addition of a ducktail with 4 round lights. The light treatment would continue for all following model years of Corvette until 2014. In 1962, the production of the C1 Corvette was concluded, and it was also the last year for the wraparound windshield, solid rear axle and convertible only body style. In the year 1963, the C2 Corvette was introduced, most commonly known as the Corvette Stingray. It was also the most beloved Corvette of all time. The C2 was designed by the famous designer Bill Mitchell, who did the 1949 Cadillac Coupe de Ville and 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air. The design of the Corvette Stingray took inspiration from 3 things: a previous concept design called C4 Corvette, a Stingray Racer project which is based on a 1957 Chevrolet Corvette SS racing project, and the third one, a Mako shark which Mitchell had caught while deep sea fishing. The production started for the 1963 model year and ended in the 1967. Introducing a new name, Stingray, the 1963 model was the first year for a Corvette Coupe. It featured a distinctive tapering rear deck and with the 1963 only a rear split window. The Stingray featured non-functional hood vents, independent rear suspension and pop-up headlamps. It was powered by a 360 bhp 327 cubic inch or 5.4 liter small block V8 engine, and there was an optional Z06 competition package which offered stiffer suspension, bigger multi-segmented line brakes with fine drums and more. Only 199 coupes and 1 convertible were factory equipped this way in 1963. And of the 199, a total of 6 were specifically created for Le Mans racing by Chevrolet, and it was the first time that the Z06 name was used with a Corvette. On 1964 models, the decorative hood vents were eliminated and the split rear window was changed to a full width window. 4-wheel disc brakes were introduced in 1965, as was the big block engine option, the 396 cubic inch or 6.5 liter V8. Side exhaust pipes were also optionally available in 1965 and continued to be offered through 1967. 1967 was the final year for the C2 generation. The 1967 model featured restyled fender vents, less ornamentation, and the backup lamps were now centrally located. The 67 had the first L88 engine option, which was rated at 430 bhp, but unofficial estimate placed the actual output at 560 bhp or more. Only 20 such engines were installed at the factory. From 1967, the wholly triple 2-barrel carburetor or tri-power was available on 427 L89 engine. Now we come to the C3 Corvette. The third generation Corvette, patterned after the Mako Shark 2 concept car, was introduced for the 1968 model year and was in production until 1982. The C2 Coupe featured the first use of a T-top removable roof panel. It introduced the monikers that were later revived, such as LT1, ZR-1, Z07 and Collector Edition. This was also the first time that the Corvette was used as a pace car for the Indianapolis 500. The engine and chassis components were mostly carried over from the C2, but the body and interior were new. The 350 cubic inch or 5.7 liter engine replaced the old 327 as the base engine in 1969, but the power remained at 300 bhp. This was the last year for the L88 engine and the only year for the ZL1 option, which offered an all-aluminium 427 big block engine listed at 430 bhp, but it was reported to produce over 560 bhp and propel the CL1 through the quarter mile in 10.89 seconds. In 1970, the LT1 was introduced, a 350 cubic inch or 5.7 liter small block V8 engine delivering a factory rated 370 bhp. It was a solid lifter motor featuring a forged steel crankshaft, 4-bolt main block, 11:1 compression ratio, impact extruded pistons, high lift camshaft, low restriction exhaust, aluminum intake manifold, 4-barrel carburetor and a fined aluminum rocker cover. The ZR-1 special package was an option available on the 1970 through 1972 model years, and it included the LT1 engine combined with a special racing suspension, brakes, stabilizer bar and other high-performance components. Only 53 ZR-1s were ever built. In 1978, 25th anniversary model introduced the fastback glass rear window and featured a new interior and dashboard. The Corvette's 25th anniversary was celebrated with the Indy 500 Pace Car Limited Edition and a silver anniversary model featuring silver over grey lower body paint. In 1982, a fuel-injected engine returned, and the final C3 Tribute Collector Edition featured an exclusive open rear window hatch. The 4th generation Corvette was the first complete redesign of the Corvette since 1963. The new chassis features were aluminum brake calipers and an all-aluminum suspension for weight saving and rigidity. The new one-piece targa top had no center reinforcement. A new electronic dashboard with digital liquid crystal display for speedometer and tachometer was standard. Beginning in 1985, a 230 bhp L89 engine with tuned-port fuel injection became the standard engine. In 1986, the second Corvette Indy pace car was released. It was the first convertible Corvette since 1975. During 1986, General Motors acquired the Lotus, and they decided to build the world's fastest production car based on the C4 generation Corvette as the C4 ZR-1. With the help from GM, Lotus designed the 5.7 liter or 350 cubic inch LT5 engine, an aluminium block V8 with 4 overhead camshafts and 32 valves. It gave the ZR-1 375 bhp. The ZR-1 was extremely quick for its time, 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds and on to a top speed of over 180 miles per hour. The huge performance of the ZR-1 engine was matched by its robustness. As an evidence of this, a stock ZR-1 set 7 international and world record at a test track in Fort Stockton, Texas on 1st March 1990. This included a world record for 24-hour endurance at an average speed of 175 miles per hour for 4,221 miles. In 1993, Lotus design modifications were made to the cylinder heads, exhaust and valve train of the LT5 engine, bringing the horsepower up from 375 to 405. Chevrolet released the Grand Sport version in 1996 to mark the end of production of the C4 Corvette. It was named after the original Grand Sport model produced in 1963. The Grand Sport came only in Admiral Blue with a white stripe down the middle and black wheels with 2 red stripes on the front left wheel arches, an iconic color scheme to this day. And now we come to the C5 Corvette. The production of the C5 Corvette began in 1997. The C5 had a top speed of 181 miles per hour, and it was judged by the automotive press as improved in nearly every area over the previous Corvette design. Also introduced with the C5 was GM's new LS1 small block V8. The 3rd generation small block V8 was completely redesigned, and now all aluminum. It featured a distributor-less ignition system and a new firing order. It was initially rated at 345 bhp and 350 foot-pound of torque, but was increased to 350 bhp in the 2001 edition. The new engine, combined with new body and its low 0.29 drag coefficient, the C5 was able to get good fuel efficiency along with high performance vigors. For its first year, the C5 was only available as a coupe with a removable hardtop. But in 1998, a convertible was also introduced, along with a fixed roof coupe in 1999. The fixed roof coupe plans laid the groundwork for the return of the Z06 in 2001, which wasn't an option not seen since the 1963 race-ready Corvette. The Z06 model replaced the fixed roof coupe model as the highest performance C5 Corvette. Instead of a heavier double overhead cam engine like the ZR-1 of the C4 generation, the Z06 used an LS6 engine, a 385 bhp derivative of the standard LS1 engine. Using the much more rigid fixed roof coupe design allowed the Z06 unprecedented handling thanks to its upgraded brakes and less body flex. Those characteristics, along with the use of materials such as titanium exhaust system and a carbon fiber hood in 2004 model year, led to further weight saving and performance gain for the C5 Z06. The LS6 was later upgraded to 405 bhp for the model year 2002 to 2004. Although the Z06 rated output equals that of the C4 CR1, the improved rigidity, suspension, brakes and reduced weight of the Z06 produced a quicker car than the C4 CR1. The production of the C5 Corvette ended in 2004 after being built about 250,000 units. Then came the C6 Corvette. The C6 Corvette retained the front engine rear transmission design of the C5, but was otherwise all new, including a new bodywork, larger passenger compartment and a new 6-liter engine with a reworked suspension geometry. It had a longer wheelbase than the C5, but the overall length and width were less than the C5. The 6-liter LS2 V8 produced 400 bhp at 6000 rpm and 400 foot-pound at 4400 rpm, giving the vehicle a 0 to 60 time of under 4.2 seconds and the top speed of 190 miles per hour. But the main difference was the Z06 lost its pop-up headlamps for the first time since 1962. The new Z06 arrived as a 2006 model in the third quarter of 2005. It had a 7-liter version of the small block engine codenamed the LS7. At 427.6 cubic inches, the Z06 was the largest small block ever offered by the General Motors. Official output was at 505 bhp and had a 0 to 60 time of 3.7 seconds. The top speed was 198 miles per hour. The Z06 body differentiates itself from the standard Corvette with its larger front and rear fenders and an inlet air scoop on the front bumper. The front fenders were constructed with carbon fiber and the rear fender contained ducts to aid cooling to the rear brakes. In 2007 December, General Motors announced that they have achieved the target of 100 bhp per liter with the new Corvette CR1. It was powered by the new supercharged 6.2-liter LS2 V8 engine, producing 638 bhp and 604 pound-feet of torque. The LS9 engine was the most powerful engine to be put into a GM production sports car, and it took the ZR1 to a top speed of 205 miles per hour. The ZR1 had a lot of its components made from carbon fiber. A polycarbonate window was placed on the center of the hood, allowing the engine and intercooler to be seen from the exterior, an iconic feature of the ZR1. Carbon ceramic brakes were offered for the first time, and there was magnetorheological dampers on offer as well. The historical name Grand Sport returned to the Corvette lineup in 2010 as an entirely new model series that replaced the Z51 option. The new model was basically an LS3 equipped Z06 with steel frame instead of aluminium. It retained many of the features of Z06, but the modifications made to the transmission and an addition of launch control enabled the Grand Sport to crack the 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. The last C6 Corvette was manufactured in February 2013. Alright guys, now we come to the current generation of Corvette, the C7 Corvette. It was introduced in 2014. The front-engine rear-wheel drive C7 was originally designed to be mid-engine for the first time, but the production cost needed for the radical change was too high, so they ditched the idea. The C7's all-new LT1 6.2-liter small block V8 engine develops 455 bhp and 460 foot-pound of torque, which can accelerate the Corvette from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. The C7 had very aggressive styling all over the car to overcome the old man store image the previous generation had, as 46% of Corvette owners were 55 and above. The new generation Corvette resurrected the Stingray name, which was last used in 1976. The Corvette remained rear-wheel drive with transaxle located in the rear. The transmission choices included a 7-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters, but the trademark round lights have changed to a more squarish form. There was also a convertible Stingray on offer as well. In 2015, Chevrolet announced the C7 Z06. The Z06 had a supercharged and intercooled 6.2-litre all-aluminium LT4 V8 engine with a 1.7-litre E10 supercharger, which makes 650 bhp and 650 foot-pound of torque. It also has aluminium cylinder heads, carbon fiber removable roof panels, 7-speed manual transmission with rough matching technology, magneto-rheological dampers, and an electronic limited slip differential. There is also a Z07 package which adds stickier Michelin Sports Cup 2 tires, carbon ceramic brakes, a larger front splitter, and an adjustable rear wing as well. That's all about Corvette till now. I know I haven't covered each and every one of the models, like the R-Line, the Grand Tourer race car that Chevrolet uses in many endurance races like the Le Mans, Sebring, and Daytona, and some other special editions like the anniversary editions as well. But we can be sure that the future Corvette will continue to become better and better, rivaling the Europeans, which are twice expensive, and become the best sports car to come out of America. And that's exactly what the recently spotted 2018 C7 ZR-1 promises to be just by looking at it. It is expected to have over 700 bhp from a supercharged and intercooled LT4 small block like the Z06, but with much more improved aero and less weight. That's all guys, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below if I need to change something or if I got something wrong. And tell me which is your favorite Corvette in its 64 years of production. That's about it guys, I will catch you later and thank you.